Thank God Mariah May is as flexible as she is. Stop thinking about it. I know y'all are thinking about it. Stop it. You fuckers get some help. I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Collision from the Brookshire Grocery Arena in Brookshire City, Louisiana. I hope I said that right. Let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. This review is up a little bit later than usual because this went head-to-head with 2 hours of WWE's flagship event, the Royal Rumble. So, how did All Elite Wrestling give their fans something that they wanted to talk about? Something to talk about. Well, they ran a 14K arena with around 2,000 to 2,500 people, and even though the crowd made some noise, my goddamn goodness, don't run an arena that big if you can't promote the shit properly. Also, I do want to say that if you get sporadic Collision reviews after this one, don't be surprised. It's not that Collision doesn't have some decent moments. There's only so much wrestling I can review. I mean, honestly, after doing this for a number of years, going on basically 8 years of going full-time with so many wrestling programs that I've reviewed and doing as many AEW programs as possible, I'm a little bit burned out, guys, so I might be easing back a bit. That being said, I will still keep up on some of this stuff, but let's get to it. There were times where this actually felt like, oh, there were some real graps going on. Then there was some overbooked stuff, and then there was stuff that wouldn't even belonged on AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation. May they rest in peace. So, Wild Thing, you make Brookshire sing, and you make Brookshire City, Groove A, and Louisiana the Wild Thing. It was Mox and Claudio against Lee Moriarty and Shane Taylor. I'm getting to face the guy that took on Sherlock Holmes. Badass. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I know that Mox took on Lee Moriarty on Rampage. I did see some of that. You know what? Lee Moriarty can work, and there was a jump start. Rick Knox was a referee, so really you could have just done anything because Rick Knox doesn't know how to enforce the rules. He doesn't know what the rules are in wrestling. He will never understand what it is to be a wrestling referee because he's really terrible at what he does. This ended up being a mess. There were some decent moments. There's nothing against these guys in particular, but it just ended up being a mess where stuff just happened, and then eventually Shane Taylor got choked out. Not the worst, but it just ended up blending together with most of the tag matches. They do everything, and then it ends. So, Lexi, was with 3 members of the Undisputed Kingdom and Commander. Commander can beat Orange Cassidy for the International Championship, and he'll hold it for 5 weeks until Roderick Strong beats him at Revolution. Commander did not beat Orange Cassidy despite interference attempts from the Undisputed Kingdom. And yeah, Orange Cassidy retained. And back to Garcia, who apparently was beat up and is bleeding, and a barricade was there for some reason, and Matt Menard or Daddy Magic or whatever the fuck his goddamn name is, he was there. Can Garcia possibly rise up back on his feet and be in the main event? Toni Storm can't be in Bossier City because she had to put down a couple racehorses, so Mariah May has to go it alone. Okay. Mariah May took on Lady Frost. Mariah May, I see why people praise her. She has a good look. She has that good heel persona, physical charisma. Lady Frost, very good gymnast, has incorporated that into her wrestling persona, has improved. She's athletic. This wasn't awful. It was at least given some time. There were 2 women's matches on this show. That's at least a start. We don't need to go 50-50. It's just if you have enough women signed, feature them a little bit more. They worked hard. The crowd cheered Frost. Mariah May, doing some good heel work here. And at one point, they were crawling up to each other. And I'm like, oh, I've seen movies start like this. And so, Frost did some good stuff, but eventually fell to Mayday. Mayday, why, that's the Russian New Year. No, they have a party and everything. But Mariah May got the victory. And then Swerve basically says, Hangman, you're going to face Toa Leona. And then we come back from break, and Hangman says, well, I'm not going to tell you who you're going to face. You're just going to have to wait, through the whole effing show to see who it is. Gee, I wonder who the fuck it is. Clearly it's Sandman. Oh, it's RVD. Hangman TA, by the way. I need to make sure I keep that nickname there as long as he has a mustache. Eddie Kingston took on Willie Mack. Willie Mack tried to win with a quick brainbuster, and can do some good stuff. And this was all right, I guess. Eventually, Eddie won with the spinning back fist. It was for the Continental Crown Championship, one of many championships that's in AEW, including the Ring of Honor stuff. It's a lot. And then Danielson just blows by Kingston. Kingston goes to join commentary because we're going into our next match. This, by the way, I think heading into the Nagata match, it was Yuji Nagata versus Bryan Danielson, was still going head-to-head with the Women's Rumble. And that review, by the way, is up on the channel if you want to check it out. And this is how long Yuji Nagata has been wrestling. He wrestled Ultimo Dragon on a WCW pay-per-view. He wrestled on WCW Nitro, and WCW Nitro was drawing big ratings. That's how long this guy has been wrestling. When he was in school, they didn't have history. But I like Blue Justice. Nagata still can go to an extent. Father Time, however, has latched on to him. I imagine this was a thrill for Danielson. Some good strikes. The focus was on Nagata's knee at one point. I did note, can Danielson get arrested for beating up the elderly? Will you be serious? And after focusing on Nagata's knee, Nagata did fire back, did hit a nice exploder, got the arm bar and everything, and rolled the eyes in the back of his head. And tried to get the victory, but Danielson got to the ropes and eventually did hit the Bukkake knee 1, 2, 3. I know that's not what it's called, but I'm going to joke about it anyway. And then show respect. And then he just almost ignores Eddie, but then flips him off. So we're getting that match at Revolution. Okay, I'm all for that. As long as they actually wrestle and it doesn't just turn into a chop fest, I'm all for it. So, Lexi wants an update on Daniel Garcia. FTR doesn't know. And, Mr. Mark Briscoe shows up and says, I would really, really like to help you guys because we bled buckets. I really wish Jay Briscoe was... So imagine what the Briscoes could have done. Imagine Briscoes and FTR tearing it up still. Imagine just Jay being able to be there for his family. I'm just glad his kids are okay. It's just such a terrible thing. Hard to believe it was already over a year ago. So, Mark basically says, I will help you if necessary. Renee's with Brian Cage. He wants the FTW championship. Go back and watch this and try to listen to how this meathead tries to say FTW. It's hilarious. Hook shows up and basically says, I'm right here. Who better? And Cage is like, that's my line. It was Canyon's line. And Canyon was a wrestler. So anyway, Serena Deeb took on Robin Renegade. Serena has a dojo. You can tell by the giant flag and graphic and everything. Instead of the woo energy drink graphics that we have all over the screen. It's just so goddamn great. I can only imagine how ass that goddamn drink tastes. But is it as bad as wooings? If you get it, you get it. I guess Serena's a face by default. She hasn't wrestled since October 2022 for injuries or illness. I'm not sure. I'm genuinely not sure. If anybody knows, please let me know. It's really none of my business, but if it's public knowledge and I just missed it, please let me know. So, Robin did some stuff, but this is mainly a showcase for Serena. She eventually got the Serenity lock on and got the tap out. Cuts a promo saying, did you miss me? No, I said, did you miss me? To be fair, the crowd was making noise, but there's only 2,000 people in that building. I don't care if they were using just half the building. That's still not great. And she says, why'd she come back? To elevate the women's division, to put the wrestling into all elite wrestling, and to become champion. All right. Fine promo. CMLO guys are coming to AEW. More flippy shit, I guess. And the cage lowers, we go to break, and then we come back. And FTR make their entrance. Mark Briscoe, makes his entrance. He's all happy, and then suddenly the lights go out. And Mark, instead of running to the ring to avoid this, is attacked by the House of Black and tossed off and goes through a goddamn table. We don't see him for a while. And so it is the House of Black against FTR in a 2-on-3 match. But don't worry, it's not 2-on-3 for long. They don't even get in the cage. It's escape the cage, by the way. After you get in the cage, you have to escape the cage. Pretty simple. They don't get in the cage for about 5 minutes, or at least close to it. Tables are set up. Those won't come into play at all. Once they get in the cage, there was at least some halfway decent action because when FTR is involved, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get something good, because FTR are really good traditionalists and understand how to work modern style, but they're also just really good. And then here's Garcia. After Brody thumps and thuds after a rail bump into Cash, Garcia shows up with a bandage that's practically almost over his goddamn eyes and everything. So I can't imagine how he could see very good. Hits people with a chair and then gets backdrop on the goddamn stage. Everybody gets in the cage. And then Cash is up there, by the way, gets up on top of the cage and instantly dives on everybody. And, yeah, there we go. This is a mess. Now, mind you, there were some good moments, but it ended up going both too long and also felt rushed at the same time. So, the faces could have escaped, but Garcia's like, no, we need to beat the shit out of these guys. Instead of doing that and maybe just having a post-match beatdown, but, you know, they had to build the drama, I guess. Dax and Brody end up, you know, escaping the cage, and once you escape the cage, you can't get back in. You're not sent to the back or anything, so technically you could interfere, but you can't get back in. Brody, by the way, diving into the steel cage door, hurl yourself stupidly at a solid object. Good timing there. So anyway, Buddy and Cash are on the side, and then Cash gets sent through a table. Oh boy, a table bump, jeez. So we go one show without that. You can show restraint, Con. You really can. You won't, but you could. And then Buddy ends up crashing through a table as well. After getting sent, after I think Malachi got sent into him. And it's down to Malachi and Garcia. They're really trying here with Garcia, you know, about 2 goddamn years after they should have. Or at least a year after they should have. But they're trying. Julia shows up and sprays Garcia in the face. It should have been me. And he's selling the miss, and then he yells at Malachi, come finish me off. Gross. But then he hits a pile driver on the chair. So much for the mist. Good job, Julia. Did you water down your own mist? And then Mark comes back, slams the door on Malachi, and Garcia manages to escape, and the faces win. They are really trying here with Garcia. Again, if you do not see me reviewing Collision regularly, don't be surprised. I'm getting kind of just frazzled in general, even though this wasn't the worst Collision show. There weren't horribly offensive things besides Orange Cassidy existing on it. It was what it was. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.